Shifting focus now, Russia unleashing some of its most powerful missiles against Ukraine. Ukraine's air defenses struggling to keep up as stocks of the interceptor missiles run dangerously low. Yet, even under pressure, Kyiv is striking back deep inside Russian territory, sending out a message that the war is far from being one-sided. Take a look.
The skies over Ukraine are becoming harder to defend. Night after night, Russia is launching waves of drones, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles and hypersonic weapons at Ukrainian cities. Unlike slower drones, ballistic missiles plunge towards their targets at tremendous speeds. Hypersonic weapons such as the Zircon are even more difficult to intercept, compressing reaction times and testing air defense systems to their limits. The pressure is beginning to show. Recent footage from Kyiv paints a stark picture. In the Golosivsky district, 4 Russian missiles slammed into targets in less than a minute. There were no interceptions, no explosions in the sky, just impact after impact. The devastation shows what President Volodymyr Zelensky has been warning. Ukraine's missile defense stocks are running thin. Zelensky has repeatedly appealed to both the US and Europe for additional air defense systems and interceptor missiles. He is urging Washington that shortages are becoming critical, but Western allies face their own production bottlenecks and depleted stockpiles, making immediate deliveries difficult. Sensing an opportunity, Moscow appears determined to intensify the pressure. Russian officials have signaled that large-scale strikes will continue. But Ukraine is not standing still. If Russia dominates the missile war, Kyiv is trying to dominate the drone war. In one of its deepest strikes inside Russia, Ukrainian long-range drones reportedly traveled more than 1,000 kilometers to hit targets in and around St. Petersburg, Russia's second largest city. Ukraine has carried out a separate drone strike on a bus in the Russian-controlled port of Donetsk. Russia claims several killed in the passenger bus attack. Ukrainian drones have repeatedly targeted Russian oil refineries, fuel depots, air bases and military infrastructure far from the battlefield. The goal is to disrupt logistics, raise costs and prove that nowhere is completely out of reach. From St. Petersburg to Kyiv, both sides are sending the same message. Strike deeper, strike harder, keep the pressure on. But one question is growing more urgent with every Russian missile barrage. Can Ukraine continue holding the line if its air defenses run out before new supplies arrive? Bureau Report WION World is One.
The Israel-Hezbollah conflict continues to push the region towards a dangerous escalation. Despite that fragile ceasefire aimed at preventing a full-blown war, Israel has kept up its strikes across southern Lebanon, killing hundreds of people. Over 1 million people have been displaced. The situation is grim, to say the least. WION's Gadi Francis getting us this ground report from Beirut's southern suburb, an area that has been repeatedly targeted by the Israeli forces.
Thick smoke billows across southern Lebanon, while the Israeli flag flies over the strategic Beaufort castle, captured by Israeli forces 2 days earlier. Israel continues its military campaign against Hezbollah despite a US-mediated understanding that had temporarily averted strikes on Beirut's southern suburbs. US President Donald Trump urged Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to hold back from targeting the Lebanese capital in order to prevent a wider regional escalation.
As you can see, rockets have hit these buildings. You can tell from the amount of the destruction what kind of strikes were carried on. According to the reports, around 300,000 Lebanese homes were destroyed in the past 3 years. Most of these have been destroyed while it was linked a ceasefire. So in the times of ceasefire, around 60,000 Lebanese homes were destroyed in 2024 and 2025. And in 2026, around 60,000 homes were destroyed by the Israeli strikes. And the dystopia is that they still call it a ceasefire, while they think that a ceasefire is not attacking Beirut, and they remain restrained in Beirut. Every day, on the hour, there are people being killed in South Lebanon, and there are homes being destroyed in South Lebanon, and there are whole towns that have been reduced to rubble in the border line.
Under the understanding announced earlier this week, Hezbollah agreed to halt cross-border attacks, while Israel stepped back from threatened strikes on Hezbollah strongholds in Beirut. But the apparent de-escalation has done little to calm fears in Lebanon, where Israel has vowed to press ahead with operations in the south.
Geneva Conventions and international humanitarian law state the implementation and preservation of safe passages to these villages. This is a main demand today, which we should be aware of and demand.
Klaya village is deeply saddened by the hit on the son of the town, the doctor and his 2 children who are university students, while they were on the road, returning from their university exams. The tragedy that hit us is a tragedy that really hurts, but we understand that during war the intended is targeted. God willing, we are preserving our presence here. We preserved our presence here only to preserve our land, homes, and honor.
According to Lebanon's health ministry, nearly 3,500 people have been killed in Israeli attacks since March, including women, children, and medical workers. Israel has since launched its deepest incursion into Lebanon in more than 2 decades, while Hezbollah has responded with missiles and drone attacks. Even as the conflict rages on, diplomatic efforts continue behind closed doors. Lebanese and Israeli officials are meeting in Washington for a second straight day of US-facilitated talks, their 4th direct encounter since the war began. The Lebanese government has attended the talks despite strong objections from Hezbollah, highlighting growing pressure to find a way out of the conflict.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon, in war days, in ceasefire days, in the night, in the daytime, in the south and south Lebanon, in southern suburb of Beirut, in other areas of Beirut, and even in the north. The Israelis are watching the Lebanese people 24/7, and this is also a breach that nobody is talking about. The standards have been raised so much that these have become normal. As long as no civilians are dying, no children are dying, nobody is talking. But the problem, unfortunately, is that even when children are being attacked in the daytime, in the buzzing hours of school time, when Beirut was hit several times in 1 minute, nobody even spoke about it. So we are talking about a battlefield that has now become normalized to be there. It is normal for people to be killed every day in Lebanon.
In what could be a game changer for bladder cancer patients, a drug reportedly could change their lives. by sparing them a life-changing surgery. Let's break it down for you. As far as bladder cancer is concerned, advanced or aggressive forms are often treated with surgery, which basically involves removing the entire bladder. And what that means is patients then have to have alternative ways to pass urine. Now, an immunotherapy drug has reportedly been found to not just destroy bladder cancer, but also prevent it from returning and do away with the need for an operation. A trial reportedly led by the Institute of Cancer Research London found that adding the drug to chemotherapy and radiotherapy reduced the risk of the disease coming back while avoiding the need for surgery. Results from the study were presented in Chicago at the world's largest cancer conference, the American Society of Clinical Oncology's annual meeting. The drug basically helps the body spot cancer cells hiding from the immune system, allowing it to target and destroy them. Basically, by adding immunotherapy to chemotherapy and radiotherapy, it could spare the patients the ordeal of having their bladder removed entirely. And these results are reportedly a major breakthrough for people with aggressive bladder cancer, a huge leap towards changing their lives. And at that point, further research will reportedly be needed at a larger scale to know for sure. But these results have the potential to be life-changing for some bladder cancer patients. A major power struggle at the top of America's intelligence establishment, raising more questions than answers about who really is in charge of U.S. intelligence. At a time when Washington is already confronting a war with Iran, the tensions have been shooting up while also facing multiple security challenges across the world. According to a Reuters report, the CIA and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, are locked in a bitter dispute over intelligence sharing, access to classified information, and also control of some of America's most important national security assessments. But to understand why this feud matters, really, it's important to first understand how America's intelligence system actually works. The United States has 18 intelligence agencies, the CIA being the country's premier foreign spy agency as such, responsible for covert operations, human intelligence collection, some of America's most sensitive overseas missions. And above those agencies sits the Director of National Intelligence, a position created after the September 11 attacks, after investigations found that intelligence failures and poor information sharing led to the deadly attacks. The idea behind the Director of National Intelligence was quite simple. In order to make sure all of America's intelligence agencies work together and prevent any disputes from undermining national security. That was the aim. But almost 2 decades later, that very system appears to be under strain. According to Reuters, the CIA has significantly reduced its participation in some intelligence assessments produced by ODNI, including analysis related to the ongoing Iran conflict. And the development also coming at a time when there is a shift in the balance of power within the Trump administration. U.S. President Donald Trump has long had a complicated relationship with America's intelligence establishment. During his first term, he often clashed with the CIA, the FBI, over issues ranging from Russia to surveillance. But now, in his second term, there is a stark difference. The CIA appears to be emerging as a major player. The agency has taken a leading role in some of Trump administration's highest priority national security operations, including activities related to Iran, as well as the recent covert operations in Venezuela, including the capture of Nicolas Maduro. And Trump's recent public praise about the CIA also highlighting a remarkable evolution.
These two guys are fantastic. And John Ratcliffe was incredible. It was actually their genius.
The fallout from the internal U.S. agency's feud has reportedly grown increasingly visible and hard to ignore. The CIA and the ODNI reportedly increasingly operate as separate analytical agencies, with the CIA no longer regularly contributing to some national intelligence assessments, including reports related to Iran, reportedly. The dispute has also spilled into personnel and security matters, it seems. Remember, Tulsi Gabbard allegedly revoked the security clearances of 37 current and former officials, a move that sparked controversy after it revealed the identity of an undercover CIA officer serving overseas. Last month itself, the feud entered public view when a CIA officer told a US Senate panel that the agency blocked access to intelligence sought by Gabbard's task force during a review of COVID-19 origins, an allegation that basically has since triggered an investigation. And the growing rift between two of America's most powerful intelligence institutions perhaps also raises questions over whether internal rivalries, the friction, is once again undermining the very coordination the post-9/11 reforms were designed to achieve. And with America engaged in that conflict with Iran, the timing of the feud also is hard to ignore.